first of all, put your phones on silent. Please, take a moment and put your phones on silent. When somebody works really hard to put something together, and one of the worst things that can happen as a speaker, and I speak a lot, is when you're in the middle of saying something really important and somebody's phone rings. I call it the devil's being busy. Right? Give everybody a second to do that. So what I want everybody to do right now is I want everybody to close their eyes. And I want you to actually visualize you at 100 years young. 100 years young. If you can't see 100 years young, I want to visualize yourself at 90 years young. Just close your eyes, visualize. What are you doing? What kind of energy levels do you have? Huh? You have a nice drink in your hand? You're on the beach? What does 90 look like? What does it feel like? Are you able to stand up? Are you able to brush your teeth? Are you able to comb your hair? Are you able to raise your arms up to grab something out of the counter? I want you to have a mental picture. You're like, what do you really want? I want to let it sink in a little bit. Some of the aches and pains that you might be suffering from right now, are they going away? Or are they just gotten worse where you didn't address it? So now I want you to open your eyes. I want you to kind of look right here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually talk about like setting goals. Now we're not going to sit down and just be like, okay, you write down X, Y, Z. We're going to talk about setting goals. We're going to talk about 3 different things to help you set health goals. Number 1 is to help health goals and lose weight, to actually get off medications and actually be the best version of you. And then we're going to go through that today because that's something that we can all learn and do, right? And we'll look at those different things. And we're going to jump right in. So look at this right here. What do you really want? Have you ever asked yourself, what do you really, really want? A lot of times people say they want stuff because it sounds good and they actually don't really want it. And that's one of the things that we got to look at. What do you really want? I mean, when's the last time you asked yourself that question? Like, every day? It's good. But then you got to look at, too, when you decide that you want something, you write it down.
We responded to your questions?
Not yet. In a second. You can if you feel like it. Yeah. So you ask what you really want. And then you look at these different things right here. Is like what type of things right here. So what everybody does right now is you have a sheet of paper. And it's got what does your 20 and 30 year health goals look like. I want everybody to kind of look at that for a second. So when you look at that right here, what does your 20 and 30 year health goals look like? Some of you already might be 30 something. I want you to think about when you're like 90. Like what kind of energy levels you want. You want to be able to where you ran 2 marathons, where you've actually walked, where you're able to play with your grandkids. Are you able to be able to? How many of you want to be a person that actually can walk and not get tired and have to sit down? How many of you been somewhere with somebody like that before? Do you want to be that person? Or you want to be the person that's actually got energy and like, come on, are you waiting for somebody else? You want to be that person, right? So now's the opportunity to create it. I want you to write down at least 5 goals that you want to have happen in your life. If you can't do it, I want you to do it. This is the thing. 85% of people in the world do not write down their goals. They don't write them down. So if you're just hoping and wishing it's just a wish, it's not going to happen. It's something that scientists say that neurologically happens when you write a goal down. It actually makes it more realer. And you can actually commit to it. So I want you to write down what it is. What's 100 years? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What type of energy level do you want? What's the most important aspect of your life? Okay? Also, is it in alignment with really who you are? When I say is it in alignment with who you really are, what do I mean by that? Don't all talk at once. Is it in alignment with who you really are?
Yes.
I'm saying, what does that mean? Yes.
Presently working towards
Presently working towards something?
presently working towards the goals that you have set. Like, is it who you are? Do you have those habits? Do you have those conditions?
One of the other things that I'm looking for, what I'm looking for in that kind of response is it really in your heart? We don't get what we want, we get what we're most committed to. You might want to write that down. We don't get what we want, we get what we're most committed to. And so when you look at these different levels, like what's your level of commitment? You know, and then it's not even if you're qualified. It said God didn't call the most qualified, he called the most committed. So what level are you committed to in raising your level of health? Tonight is all about raising your standards. You need a pen?
Yeah.
I got like 2 in my pocket. It's about raising your standards.
Thank you.
So when we talk about raising the standards, we want to jump right into this other part right here. So goals right here. A goal is what is an aim or a purpose. And we got these different things when we look at it. Using guides on achieving life success is another acronym for goal. So that's where you want to flip to that other sheet right there. Guides on achieving life success, the goals. A goal is like an aim or a direction. I'm going to show you a little bit about a goal in a second here, and a little bit of things right here. But I want to give you a handout so you can actually keep notes and keep track of different stuff. Now, what the other part that we have right here is that goals, it gives us something to aim towards. People that have goals actually live longer. They actually have a better success rate, different things right here. You got a purpose to get up. Some of the things where people say that I used to, you know, they were younger, they said, I used to want to do this, I used to want to do that. And then what happens is they got comfortable and they didn't want to grow, so they stayed inside a certain comfort zone. And then they didn't want that anymore. Or they just given up on it because they didn't think it was possible for them. And I'm here today is the hope dealer, not to say don't give up on that. You always got to keep pushing. Some of the people that actually live to be the healthiest and some of the healthiest people that I physically treat in this office are people that are still pushing towards stuff. Like I have a state champion powerlifter sitting in here right now. 75 years old, and she's still pushing towards a mark. She's still trying to achieve something. And it's nothing to do with work. She's retired. It's something to do with her own personal goals. A lot of times we get confused with work and those different things right here. But when you set a health goal, number one, it's not about it. It's got to be smart. How many of y'all heard that before? Smart. By raising hands. What smart means is it's got to be specific. It's got to be measurable. It's got to be attainable. It's got to be realistic. And it's got to be a time limit on it. It's got to be a time on it. Because if you just say, I want to do this, and you got all those different things, it could be 10 years from now. It could be 5 years from now. But what doesn't change is your level of commitment if you really want to make it happen. And we'll talk about that right here. What you see right here is what I just went through. It was a goal that I set. This is a family reunion. I just drove to North Carolina. If I want to drive from here to North Carolina, what do I have to do to see these lovely folks in this picture?
Get in the car and drive.
What I got to get in the car and drive. But first of all, I got to know exactly where I'm going.
Right.
If I just say I want to go to North Carolina, I could be in Asheville, North Carolina, which is on the other end of the state. But is that going to help me get to my goal?
You got a plan.
You got a plan, but you got to be specific with that plan. So you got to know where exactly in North Carolina do I want to go. Not even so specific. You got to say, if I went to my family reunion, I didn't just say I wanted to go to Clinton, North Carolina. I said I had to go to Royal Lane Park, but I also had to go to this center called the Bellamy Center in Royal Lane Park. Does it make sense?
Yes.
That's how specific that you got to get with your goals. Now we're starting to get a little bit of things right here.
Yes.
Now when we talk about attainable, so if I want to see all these people right here, it's got to be measurable. So if I want to get from here to Clinton, North Carolina, to Royal Lane Park in Bellamy Center, I got to be able to measure. So when I measured, I put it in Waze, and I looked at a map, and it says it's 960 some miles. 960 some miles from here. So I can measure that distance. Now also too, it's got to be attainable. Now if I said that I wanted to go from here to Jerusalem and I'm going to drive a minivan, is that attainable?
No.
Is that realistic?
No.
No. So some of you might say that I want to lose 20 pounds in a month. Is that realistic?
No.
In a healthy fashion? Is that attainable? No.
No.
Unless you just go on a really restricted diet.
No.
So when you look at these different things right here, if we go back to this, we can measure, it's attainable, and is it realistic? It's realistic for me to get in the car with another driver or do it by myself. With the other driver is my wife, and for us to split up driving 14 hours from Chicago, from Plainfield, Illinois to Clinton, North Carolina in a certain amount of time. That's realistic, it's attainable, and then we also have a time on it, and that's where we had the 14 hours. That's how you got to be specific with your goals. A lot of times what you've done, and I've given everybody a chance, you wrote down goals. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose this. I want to do that. But it's not specific.
Right.
It's not measurable. It's not what's the A? Attainable. What's the R? Realistic. And what's the T? Time. You got to do it. Give me an example. List somebody list one goal that they wrote down. I don't talk at once.
Off meds.
Off meds, good. We're gonna get to that. So now you got to come up with a plan. That's gonna be the second thing we got to do. But what's another goal besides getting off meds?
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Now you got to be a little bit more specific than stay healthy.
Eat right.
So one of the things with stay healthy can be so broad. Being healthy is not just a one-dimensional thing. It's a multifocal thing. It goes with sleep, exercise, right diet. It's so many different things in there. So now you got to get even more specific with it. Does that follow you? Follow me on that? So now we're getting more specific. So now she wants to be healthy. Give me another way that we can be more specific and help her to be healthy.
Eat right.
Eat right. That's good. Now, when we talk about eating right, let's be a little bit more measurable. How can we measure that? Plant-based diet. Good. What's another way that we can measure it? Eat right. Volume, the amount of foods that she does eat. She's not gorging herself with eating big plates of food. So now we're going to look at portion size. That's another one. What's another way? Counting macros. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nutrients. They got real specific. There you go. And then we got other things here. What's another way that we can actually measure it? Exercise, like tracking it, writing down when you eat. You know, writing down that you eat 3 meals a day and a snack or 2 snacks. Now, what about, is it realistic? Is it realistic for you to do that? That's a question you have to ask yourself. And how far you're being able to go to do that. And then you got to look at, is it attainable? Right? And then you got to look at the time factor in those different things. So you want to make sure you hit those SMART. Those are called SMART goals. Very basic for doing those different things right here. Now, the second thing that we want to talk about right here is getting off of medications. This is a huge one. So one of the things, morally and ethically, I can't tell you to stop taking medications. It's outside of my scope of practice. I'm not saying that I'm going to do that. But what I can do is show with you the side effects of different kinds of medications and the long-term effects of them. And one of the things you got to look at with side effects can be either positive or negative. A positive side effect of a medication would be what?
More energy.
More energy, which is what happens sometimes with certain drugs, right? And then you got another negative side effect of a drug would be what? Death. Death, or you get upset stomach, or you have diarrhea. You know, the whole list of stuff on the bottom commercials when y'all watch TV. That stuff, one of the things right there. Now, imagine this right here. What I can tell you, if you were stuck on an island, no stress, just had to go and hunt for your food, you got fresh fruits and vegetables, and you got lean meats every now and then, do you think you would need that high blood pressure medicine?
No.
What do you think would happen? You just put 100% vegetables and stuff in your body.
You're going to get healthier.
You're going to get healthier. How? You know that?
Because you've been educated as to what's right and what's wrong to nourish your body with.
Even if you were on an island, you put that in, and you've been educated, but you put the right things in your body. So when you put the right things in your body, they're saying your body can heal itself. Everybody in here said that if you were stuck on an island and you didn't have to have the access to the high blood pressure medicine or cholesterol medicine or all those different things right here, and you actually put fresh fruits and vegetables in your body, and you ate lean meats and meats, we all agreed that we would actually get healthier. We will feel better. But what we have is we are stuck in America with these limiting beliefs that tell us that we need to actually not change our diet, and we need to take this medicine for the rest of our lives. Do you see how we're limited to our culture?
Yes.
Now, one of the things I was listening to is I was listening to Miles Monroe, and what he said was when he went to Germany, he speaks as one of my favorite pastors. When he went to Germany, he was on an Autobahn. And the guy said, man, you know, you want to drive this car on an Autobahn? And he said, yeah, I want to drive. And he got in the car, and they started going. And then he said he got up to 80, he was feeling really excited. He got up to 100, he was feeling really excited. But then the guy said, man, you ain't even broke the engine in yet. What you doing? He said, man, I started getting nervous because in America, we can only drive, the maximum is like 65, 70. And if you sneak a little bit, maybe you can get 80 to 90 on the highway. But if you know anything about Autobahn in Germany, there's no speed limit. There's no speed limit. So he said he got up to 150, and then he started sweating. And the guy was like, push it. You're not even going. Push it, right? Then when he got on the Autobahn, he got up to 180. He started to get a little bit more nervous, and then he started to get comfortable. So every time he stepped outside his comfort zone and it challenged his limiting beliefs, it was really uncomfortable. But he had to get outside of it to actually experience that. And that stands out to me because that's what we're doing in the United States, is the way that we eat, with the way that we take medicines, and the way that we're conditioned. So a lot of limiting beliefs keep us from actually attaining the goals that we really do desire and think it was in our heart. And it breaks us down. And when it breaks us down, we're actually still stuck there. And then we're going back to this guy thinking he's going to heal us when our body's designed to heal ourselves. And I want you to take advantage of that, because this could be us one day. If we have a third world disaster that happens in this world, could you survive without Walgreens? Could you survive? A lot of us will say, yeah. But now we're going and spending $200 and $300 a month on medications. The average person over 60 takes about 12 medications, research says. The average. Now some of you might, somebody take a water pill here or this right here. Long-term effects of that is going to break your body down. So what I want to share with you is this. If we put the right things in our bodies and we take care of our bodies can heal itself. See, if we're not challenging and changing and getting better, we're going to die slowly. And I don't want that to happen to anybody in here. That's one of the things that we got to look at. So the number one way that you do this is you got to list all your medications. You want to write this down. List all your medications. If you take any medications, you got a loved one that you care about, list them all. Then the second step, what you want to do is you want to research the side effects, short and long term, good and bad. How many of everybody got their cell phone in here? Got a smartphone? Even if you don't have a computer. Now with that smartphone, can you get access to Google? Can you get access to any kinds of medications or pharmaceutical companies? You can look up the side effects of medication. Now, how many of us, and I want to put everybody on Front Street, have gotten medications and not looked at the side effects of them? A lot of us. I know at some point in my life I have. So we have to start looking and doing the research. Now, the third thing that we need to do from that point is we need to call the doctor that wrote the prescription, and we need to set up a consultation with him. So he's going to start asking, like, what's going on? We need to say, hey, I want to set up a conversation. I want to sit with you. Now, by right, we should have an opportunity to sit down with a doctor, right? And actually ask questions. And actually say, sir, I want to discuss all this. I want to come up with a plan to slowly get healthier and get off of these. I just don't believe that I was designed to hold this for myself. And I want you to see what kind of responses you get. Now, if you look at these doctors, some doctors are going to say, look, you need to be on this for the rest of your life. They're probably taking it too. But you want somebody that's going to say, look, we want to sit down and actually explain to you. Now, there's certain medications that some people need to take for the rest of their life. I'm not naive to that. We're not debunking that. But there's a lot of people that are over-medicated, and we all know that. There's a lot of people that are over-medicated. And I don't want to create another zombie here. How many of y'all seen the news lately? You see the guy from Monsanto? There's one of the $289 million lawsuit. Now, do you think he would give that $289 million back if he would know that he could be here another 40 years? Yeah. They said that dude was in so much pain that he couldn't even testify certain days. He couldn't even talk. And did you see some of the pictures of his skin? And this is something his job says, hey, you take this out there and spray this on this stuff. Right? Now, this is something that we look at too. You look at these side effects. I've seen people actually take medicine that says this could kill you. And they still take it because the doctor said to take it. So you got to look at the different things in your poison. So we got to take more things. So now you come up with a plan from that point. Now, if you get shut down and you're not getting the answers that you desire, or you're not getting the outcome that you want, what will be the next logical step?
Get another opinion.
What'd you say?
Get another doctor.
Get another doctor, get another opinion. But the thing about it is you don't stop right there. It might take you 2 or 3 doctors to find the answer that you want. But you can't be stopped by limiting beliefs. You can't stop. You can't stop. Now, I'm looking at these different things right here. Some of the healthiest people I know do not take any medication. They do not take any medication. And we're going to talk about what causes you to get on medication in the first place. A lot of times, and not all the times, but a lot of times it's due to overwhelming types of stress. There's 3 different types of stress. There's chemical, where there's different things that get in our bodies. There's physical, different things that we do to actually damage our bodies. And there's also emotional stress, which is the number 1 type of stress. Now what happens here is we're going to go through that in a little bit right here. So the best version to get the best version of you is have a stress-free nervous system. What happens with most people is they stay in a sympathetic response. Sympathetic is where your body, your nervous system goes through fight or fright. That means if something goes after you, you run, and then you get in a comfortable position, and then you get back into sympathetic, parasympathetic, or when you lay down and you rest, right? The problem is a lot of us are staying in that sympathetic response. We're not resting. It could be a coworker, it could be a boss, it could be a car accident from 20 years ago. It could be drinking too much of bad stuff. It could be putting too many different, it could be over-the-counter medications. It could be prescription medications. It's so many things that we got to be toxic, we got to detoxify from in this world that's actually causing us to be sick. So when we look at these different things right here, we got to live in the moment. I want everybody to watch this for a second. How do you think that deer's blood pressure is right now? No, it's pretty good. He's grazing. He's got his babies behind him.
Thought that was a wolf.
Not quite yet. So we have a certain part of us that senses danger inside our bodies, right? That's innate intelligence. Now what happened to that deer's blood pressure? It went sky high. Now what happens is some of us, we stay in that fight. Because now you leave a job that you don't get along with people. Then you go home and you got stress. You might have financial difficulties. You might have all these other things, and you stay in that thing. Now, if you stay in that response where something is always chasing you, or you got to fight something off, what do you think is going to happen to your body? It's going to break down. Why?
Too much stress.
Too much stress.
You overload.
You overloaded, fatigue. There's so many different things. We all understand that process. One of the things that I really want you to do is I want you to challenge and look at the different stressors in your life. Start eliminating them slowly. Negative people, cut them. Anything that's not adding value to your life, some things. And there's good stress. Good stress is exercise. I don't want you to cut that. I want you to actually increase that, right? But what happens is the natural response is for blood pressure to go up and down. It can't go but so low or you're going to get sick. And it can't stay but so high or you're going to get sick. You either blow the kidneys out, have a stroke, or a heart attack. So that's one of the reasons why what happens and what the medical society does is they don't look at the environment. If you look at this picture right here, you put it in the environment. The deer is just walking, right? Now the environment changed. Because now you got an aggressor that's coming at you. That wants to eat you, wants to eat your babies, that wants to do these things. I always talk about the lion is coming, right? And it is real. It's going to happen to us all the time. There's no way to avoid stress. The only way to avoid stress is to die. There's no way to avoid stress. But what you have to do is learn how to manage it. Now, this is one of the ways right here that can help you to actually get off different medications. When people don't sleep right, you got people are actually getting treated from side effects of different medications. People are actually having diarrhea, and then they go to the doctor. A person can go to the doctor already on 3 different medications and have a side effect of those medications and leave on 6, 7 different types of other medications. And now they're on a total of 7, 8, just like that, with the stroke of a couple of pen marks on a piece of paper and a physical. So by able to understand the stress and how it works in the body, we got to understand that this right here is what we call the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system controlled in once. The sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. That's stuff that you can actually go, your body's on alert. That's when certain senses pop up and you're ready to go, right? Parasympathetic nervous system is when you rest and digest and when your body repairs. The problem is a lot of people don't spend enough time in that parasympathetic. They stay in a sympathetic state. And once you can be able to identify and learn to have balance between those two, or when to use it and when not to and turn it off, your body can repair and rejuvenate itself. You can make new cells. But if you stay in a certain way, your body can't do it. The function decreases. Now, there's also another condition that can cause that to happen, and those are caused by those 3 stressors. That's what we call a subluxation. That's when a vertebrae shifts or you lose a curve in the spine. And when that happens, whatever that nerve supply supplies gets weak, it starts to degenerate, and it starts to break down and cause disease. Does it make sense? And then what happens is that causes the entire spine to shift. So that's just at a global spot. That's just at a segmental spot. Now we're talking globally. So if that entire spine shifts, then it breaks down, the head starts going forward, the shoulders start to round, and the entire spine gets weak and it starts to break down, cause disease. Now we got a whole realm of problems. And then we spend our time going from this doctor to this doctor, chasing symptoms instead of looking at the cause of the problem. And the cause of the problem could be you could have a nerve that's pressing against there, that's being inflamed. And then your body's in a crisis. So the United States is #1 in crisis care. If you get in an accident, this is the place you want to be. But we're very low in health care and taking care and keeping people healthy. So one of the things that we got to do is we got to understand a better version. Now how that works is this controls everything. I broke it down into the cervical spine, the thoracic spine, and the lumbar spine. And that goes all the way down from the immune system all the way down to the hips and the tailbone. And everything is controlled. It's all controlled by these nerves that come off the spine here. If I put pressure on that nerve that's going to my heart, is my heart going to function properly? No, it's not. So the #1 thing to do is to take medication to actually slow it down. You can take a beta blocker or you can take an ACE inhibitor. These are different things that help regulate blood pressure depending on what's going on. Different kinds of heart functions. And they long-term, they're saying that now that stuff in Lipitor is causing dementia. It's causing people to actually get multiple sclerosis. All these other symptoms or side effects of long-term use of that stuff. So when you look at these things right here, how do you actually change that? You have to change your state. #1 way to change your state is you gotta pick a goal. You gotta set some goals. If you don't learn anything tonight, you gotta set some goals. Tonight, everybody should set goals. Now, if you ever set a goal and you've achieved it, how did you feel?
Wonderful.
You felt good, right? So what we gotta do is we gotta attach some kind of meaning or language to it. What are you telling yourself? Can you really do it? Because you got that inner side that says you can do it, but then you got people on the outside that says, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You think you're 25 again? The minute you sit down, people are going to try you to see how bad you want it. And it could be people, it could be your spouse. It could be your mother, your father, it could be anybody. So what #1 way we got to do is we got to find a goal, we got to focus on it, we got to attach a meaning to it, and then we got to change our physiology. We got to change our energy. That's how you manage your state. Your state is the where you are right now, your being, your mindset. What is going on with that process? Every day is not going to feel like peaches and cream, right? But how do we change it? I see people that come in, they're tired. The thing what I've learned to do is that people that are the difference between professionals and amateurs is their ability to manage their state. Now you look at Serena Williams, you look at Tiger Woods, you look at these guys that are world-class athletes, Michael Jordan, how he actually went out there and shot so many points with the flu. He was able to manage his state. Could some of you do that? Some people came in today and they were so tired, right? If I come in and I was so tired, I was like, hey, I'm able to manage my state that when it's action time, it's time to go. Especially if it's something that I want to do. Now, when it comes to health, I see enough sick people that I want to be healthy.
How do you manage your state when it's something you don't want to do?
You have to change and see if you really want to do it. But when it comes to life or death, I think it's an easy decision. It's a very easy decision. Now, when we look at these things right here, yes.
It said managing state. What was that on the other side of the train?
Focus.
Yeah, well, no, right there.
Meaning.
Meaning.
Meaning and language.
Language.
That's like self-talk. What kind of meaning are you attaching to your state? That's what I'm saying. Is it really worth it? You start asking, is it really worth it? Do I really want to do this? Or do I want to give up on it? Or I can't have it? Or should I do this? Right? What's the meaning that you attach to something? Like I see my daughter, I see my son, I see instantly love. The meaning attached to that is love. It's like I will do anything for this. Right? There's a meaning to it. But then you might say, man, you see this person and they made you mad at a meeting. Okay? Now you as a good servant, as a good person, would you open the door for that person still? Would you say good morning? What kind of meaning are you attaching to the person you are by the actions you do? And so you got to look at these things right here, but changing that physiology. That's how you get people to do it. So what's what I mean by that? Changing the physiology, you got to get that blood rate going. You gotta get that pulse pumping. You gotta sweat a little bit. That's how the people that actually come in here and they get a little uncomfortable, they might be sore. Those are some of the people that have some of the best results. People, I change your physiology.
Right.
I'm good at that. I can influence you to a certain point that can change your state. But the thing about it is we need to learn how to do it. This is world-class self-empowerment stuff that I'm sharing with you today. This is a very, very important thing, the way that you manage your state. And we got to learn how to do it. Now, 4 qualities that make a decision powerful. The earlier you make the decision, the more powerful it is. The earlier you make the decision, the more powerful it is. So if I sit around and I say, you know what, let me think about it. 9 times out of 10, you're going to self-talk and you'll go home and you're going to talk yourself out of it. It's not as powerful. But if you commit right then, you say, you know what, I might not have it. I'll tell you one thing. I went to Africa last summer. I didn't know. I had a lot of stuff going on at the time. Ticket was very expensive. I committed to going. And when I committed to going, God and the universe lined up and it will make a way. We don't do limiting beliefs here. So I challenge you. I'm going to make you a little uncomfortable to step outside your comfort zone. Now the second thing is the more urgent the circumstances, the more influential the decision. What do I mean by that? If you know you might be late on your car payment, you're 2-3 car payments behind. If you don't make a car payment, they get that thing caught up, they're going to come and take your car or kick you out of your house, right? So this is a realistic situation. So what are you going to do? You're going to make a decision really quick because now the circumstances are changing. And you see people do it all the time. And that's the thing what happens. When I see people come in the office and they're in pain, those are the easiest people to convert. Those are the easiest people to get under care because now they can't take it anymore. The circumstances, they feel powerless. The circumstances, I want to change my circumstances. I'm not happy with the way it is. And once you got that, then that decision is going to be really easy because it's either going to go one way or the other. And there's not no much time to think about it. Now, key decisions set precedents. You have to make a key decision. That's going to be your top priority. The fourth one, key decisions are reinforced with repetition and a reward. Those are called rituals. You make a key decision, you reinforce it by doing rituals to reinforce it. Now, what I want to talk to you about is rituals. These are stuff that you do to do that. Now, if you, Miss Smith, you said that, you know, I want to get healthier. We broke it down a little bit smart. Do you want to eat better? Do you want to sleep better? When you say get healthier, it's got to be specific, right? Now you got to do rituals to actually match that. So once you have this stuff written out, rituals could be for you if you want to be healthy, is to eat 3 meals a day and 2 snacks. That would be a ritual, right?
Right.
So how many of you get up and you pray every day? First thing you do, you get up in the morning, you pray. That's a ritual. You're conditioning your belief. You're conditioning your relationship with God. That's a ritual. You have to do rituals with everything that you want.
Right.
If you want to lose weight, you have to say what? What do you got to do if you want to lose weight?
I want to lose weight.
You say I want to lose weight, but then you got to say, how much weight do I want to lose? Right? Then what's that point right here? You got to do rituals to actually condition that state. So when you do rituals, what does that look like for losing weight? Exercising, the smoothie, working out, and then you got to be more specific with that. You got to work out. 1 time a week is going to help you lose 20 pounds? No. 2, 3, 4, depending on the person and your time that you have available. Do you understand where I'm going? This is not your basic thing right here. So those right here reinforce the things. The earlier decision, the more powerful it be. Now, this is things right here. People's biggest obstacles to change is number 1, is something is inevitable. The reason why some people change is they've been told that they can't. They've been told. You know, when Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, nobody thought that they could break the 4-minute mile. It's a limiting belief. You can't do it. You can't do this. You can't do that. They said, oh, man will never touch the moon. You can't do that. There's nothing that we can't do as people if we don't put our mind to it. There's nothing you can't do. Seeing people that have cancer, they say, you know what? You only have 6 months to live. You might as well get your affairs in order. Now what they did is they actually weren't happy with the circumstances. They made a decision, and an early decision is powerful. The urgent circumstances, which is life or death, it made the decision more influential. So now the question is like, what do I need to do? What goals do I need to set so I can live? My goal is to live, not die from cancer, right?
Right.
So what happened is what they did is they sat down and they made some measurable goals. They smart goals, right? So now what that point is, they said, I'm going to start juicing. I'm going to start managing my state. I'm going to start exercising. I actually think that I'm going to beat it, so therefore I am. You see people reverse stuff like that all the time. Does it happen all the time? No, it doesn't happen all the time. But you want to give yourself the best chance. You can't tap out. You got thousands and thousands of ancestors. We was at a family reunion. They traced our history back to 1715. And what happened was they talk about the slave ships. You got people that endured so much for you to be sitting in these seats right now. You owe it to them not to tap out. Not only that, you got loved ones that are looking up to you. And they say, well, mama had that, I'm going to have it too, and I'm going to have it too. And then it goes on and you create a generational cycle and a curse. That we're here to break these bonds tonight.
Amen.
We're here to break those bonds. I believe we live a God that's limitless and can set us free. And you got some things why people don't change. It's something in the past that can't be changed. Like a fact, some people's finances. Some things you just can't change. That's why you can't worry about it. When I'm driving in my car, do I drive looking in the rearview mirror? No. I would hit everything. I drive looking forward. You have to drive looking forward. Your life, you have to drive looking forward. You get in your car right now, your goal is to drive home, right? You know the turns you got to do to make there. You know, you put your address in, you just go, boom, boom, boom. That's the same thing with goals, whether it's weight loss, it's getting off medications, it's doing all these different things, being the best version of you. And then something that's outside of your control. And we can't be depressed about it. You know, those are different things. Everybody's some form of depression. You might not have been pleased with the outcome of something. That's why you set a new goal, you regroup, and then you take forward on that. And you focus on those different things. Now, what happens here, pleasure versus pain, it drives all human behavior. Pleasure versus pain. Pleasure makes things permanent. Pain will cause you to change. That's when people are suffering and doing different things. When you have pain, you're willing to do anything to get out of pain. But once you get to pleasure, whatever you did to get out of pain, you're going to probably do a little bit more because you know what that pain feels like. We do it all the time with we do it all the time with different things. But what happened is, don't let yourself get into pain before you actually have to make a change. You don't remember anything I said. A lot of times what happens when you're talking about the healthcare model, if I draw a line that goes up like this and comes over, this is the allopathic medicine. What happens is people got some level of health, but once it starts to decline because of something happened, then they discover vitality. And then it starts to pick back up. So they take a dip, so their health declines. Then they discover vitality, they discover Dr. John's, and then they come up, and then they understand what vitality is, but they had to go through some kind of pain and suffering. Then they actually get tired of pain and suffering, and they decide to make a change. And then when they get to vitality and it goes up, and then why even go through that dip? Why even go to that point? That's my point. So make the changes now, and then don't let yourself be powerful. You are more powerful than you ever think that you could be. And once you stop listening to stuff and you start listening to that internal guidance, that GPS, that innate intelligence, and let God talk to you, a lot of times we spend so much time praying. I challenge you, I want you to spend more time listening. I want you to tell me everything your steps are already guided for. Well, a lot of times we're praying for stuff that we want, and then when we get what we pray for, we're not ready. We're not ready. So, I need help. I'm out of pain. Now I tell you, you get out of pain. This is what you need to do to maintain it. And then next thing you know, people are like, oh my goodness, I got to do that? Well, I feel better. No, you got to maintain that. You got to do rituals to condition that state. Does it make sense? So look at this right here. You got headaches. You got sciatica. Don't ignore the warning signs. You got all these different things right here. A lot of people don't think that chiropractors can help with neck pain. They don't think that we can do a lot of different things that we do. Sinuses, allergies, asthma, all these different things. You know, my story started when I started out and I was working in that pharmaceutical company and I had the allergies and I would go home. I would just have so many bad allergies. The asthma. I was using asthma. I was like, man, I can't get it. No Zyrtec, no pill. Nothing would do it. Eyes red. It was just miserable all the time. And I accepted that as normal. Until I found a chiropractor. When I started getting adjusted, I saw my life literally change. And the reason why it changed is because my body started functioning better. The chiropractor didn't heal me. No man heals anybody. You have what's inside of you that can heal you. And that's what I want to help you discover is your full potential. What I wish everybody knew about chiropractic is it can help with metabolism, it can help with fatigue, stress, it can help with your immune system. So one of the things that people do experience is they experience actually less often getting sick in the wintertime. That's a common thing that I have. They feel better. If you anything in this office, I can't speak for other chiropractors and those people that are watching, but in this office right here, you're gonna leave feeling better than you did when you came in. Just even if you don't get adjusted, if you come in here because the energy's so high, you have no choice but for your energy to raise. If your energy doesn't raise, you're gonna leave and you probably won't come back because you're not ready for change. And so what happens in this point right here is today, I want to offer everybody a chance to actually help set some new goals. One of our things as patients is we set health goals. We set health goals. Now you see, plan out your retirement, you're putting X amount of money in your 401k every month, you start doing these different things right here. What about your health goals? What does 90 look like? So now you got X amount of money in the bank at 65 when you retire, or 70, but what does your health look like? Numbers, what does your A1C look like? What's your blood pressure? Are you sleeping? Let's set some health goals from that point. How's your posture? What phase of the generation might you be in? And where do you want to go? And so from that point right here, we're offering people that have not been patients here before an opportunity to come in and get their spines checked. But what I want to do right here on top of that is I want to bring up two young ladies, Dr. Felicia Blassingame, and I want her to just share real quickly about what she does to help you achieve your goals. And then I want to bring up Miss Janelle. So come on up. Best massage therapist in the business here. And if you don't know, you got testimonies in here. So just tell them a little bit about yourself and what you're doing.
Okay. Well, first of all, he told me to speak from the heart, and I had a full presentation planned, and you guys have it in your packet, so read it at your leisure. Speaking from my heart, I feel so blessed to have found Health on Earth and to have met Dr. Artis, because it has given me a new perspective, even at the age of 63, to make a lot of changes in my life. I ran an agency for 38 years. I retired a year ago, and now I'm following my passion. And my passion is massage therapy. And that I want to share with everyone, because he talked about setting health goals. It will help us to set our health goals. And many of you can contest to that. First, I want to thank you for making me feel welcome and making me feel good about being here. Your smiles when you walk in the door. Hello, how you doing? Sit in my chair, getting on my table. And why wouldn't I want to make you healthier? Why wouldn't we all want to be healthy? I found massage therapy 20 years ago, and I haven't given up on it. And I don't want you, I want to share this with you. So, if you look in your packets later on, you'll see that it affects the circulatory system. It pumps, get that blood flowing back to the heart. Who would want that? Who wouldn't want to just feel good? Endorphins and heightened endorphins in your system. Those are natural painkillers. Body naturally heals itself. Who wouldn't want that? The nervous system decreases stress. Who wouldn't want that? Right? And tell me some other things that massage would do. Tell me some other things.
I sleep good.
What you say, baby?
I sleep good.
It makes you sleep good. If you have a sleep disorder, it makes you sleep good. It rests your whole body. It gets you ready for that good night's rest. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Somebody else, tell me what massage do for you. What about the digestive system? It also helps with the digestive system. It can cleanse your system. I can teach you ways to show you how to get that stuff out of you. It helps with the digestive system. What's wrong with that? It's not just for pain. It's not just for stress.
What about the lymphatic system?
Definitely. Definitely. That's part of it. That's why they have lymphatic massage right now. To help that whole system, that whole myofascia, that whole trigger point thing. And I want to share this with you because I don't look bad for 63. Right? And that's because I do try to eat right. Now, I party hard. And I try to eat right. And I try to keep my system going, and I try to get a massage at least twice a week. Because I know that's what's going to de-stress me. That's what's gonna bring my level down. That's what's gonna make you happy. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to make you happy, to make you feel good, to make you wanna be healthy. Yes, ma'am.
How often you think you should get a massage?
It's up to your body. It's up to the muscles.
Or
So that's why I tell people with that first massage, I want to get an opportunity to see how your muscles react to touch. Some people would like it twice a week, some people once a week, some people once a month. That's all it could take.
So you let the person know, right?
Oh, I certainly do.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
definitely, definitely.
Okay.
You know, there's some people, they trip out over massage. They wanna get it every day. Oh, that don't make no sense. Okay, that's just overwhelming. But at the end of the day, if that's what's making them feel good, who am I to say? Okay? Yes,
What I
ma'am.
was gonna say, you just said that you tell people how it's working for them, but it seems like they should be telling you.
Well, let me say this, I advise. I only advise according to what your muscles tell me.
And the muscles will tell you like what?
If you're tense, if you're always tensing your neck every time you lay on my table, I would say you need to come in here at least twice a week so that we can take this down. And then maybe that twice a week go into once a week, and then maybe every 3 weeks. You see what I'm saying? We're gonna diminish that until hopefully it goes away. Or is that a minimum? Okay? Yeah. So it's up to us to work that through. It really is. Any other questions? So since we know that massage is good for us and that it makes us healthy, why aren't all of us getting massages? I've got people in here that have told me when they got off my table, thank you so much.
I've tried, but I don't know if they know what they doing. I said I've tried, but I don't know if they know what they doing.
You don't know the massage therapist?
Right.
Oh, he told you already, and I affirm it, I am the greatest massage therapist there is. So, I know what I'm doing, so you should be on my table next week, right? But anyway, I say that in all in fun. This is serious business. Our health is serious business. Let's take it seriously. If you're advising your son or your daughter, you would be talking about them being healthy because you want them to be here for a while. Okay? And I want to be here for a while. I want to be 103 years old. That's my goal. I am living to 103. My great aunt dad at 100, going on 101. I'm going to beat everybody. I'm going to be 103. Okay? So I would expect to see those of you who have not been on my table to be on my table next week. All right? Love you guys, and thank you for making me feel welcome. All
Janelle is a licensed dietitian, registered dietitian, licensed nutritionist, and she's talking about what she does to help you achieve your goals.
Hello. One of the things that I really like about this place is that we practice what we preach. So Dr. Artis, everything he told you, he does himself. He challenges his staff to do exactly what he told you guys to do. We all have set goals that we are currently working on. So this isn't just stuff for people that we think don't know anything. He's talking to you the way that he is because he believes it. He believes that there's something inside of all of you that will allow you to reach your goals. Dr. Blasingame, same thing. Like, all of the stuff that she's talking about, she is on the table a couple times a week. Me, I'm a work in progress. Look, and I will tell all my patients that. But the reason I went into this field specifically is because I was tired of seeing my people dying from things they didn't have to. That's why I do what I do. That's why I'm here. And that's why I come out here twice a week so that I can give you guys consultation, give you guys good information. It's nothing new. Everything that you need is already inside of you. And for real, I believe that setting up these consultations with me, it's just going to affirm what you already know about yourself. It's just going to give you that second part, which is accountability. It allows you to have somebody, once you set your SMART goal, once you've been specific, once you've been able to measure it out, once we determine is it attainable, is it realistic, is it tested, that's me. We're going to test it. We're going to see how serious you are about what it is that you said to do on that piece of paper. And I'm gonna be able to tell you, give my clinical advice to say, okay, your A1C went down, your blood pressure went down. The medication is gonna show one way or the other. If you come off your meds, you know you're doing something right. If you start to lose weight on that scale, you know you're doing something right. I want you to do it in a way that you're most educated though. We're not gonna just starve ourselves and then we're like, oh, Janelle lost 100 pounds. No, no, we don't wanna do that. But for real, like you need to have somebody that knows what they're talking about, somebody that's also doing it with you, somebody that can hold you accountable for the things that you say you wanna do. Okay, so that's me. And the fortunate thing about Health on Earth is that we all have our giftings and I feel that we're operating in those. Dr. Artis, I'm here every week getting my back adjusted. Dr. Blasingham, I haven't had the pleasure, but I know she's awesome. I wish I could get on that massage table. I just don't have the time at this point. And then me, you know, the nutrition part. Like, once she determines, like, what's going on your insides, what's going on with your back, once doctor adjusts the back, then we need to talk about what we're putting in our bodies and how it's affecting those other two things. So if you notice, like, the reason that we're all here, because all of these things fit together. And so we want you guys to win. We know that you can. And we're here as your cheerleaders and support system. So, like Dr. Blasingham said, I want to see everybody next week. I want everybody's information before you leave, whether it's email, phone numbers, or whatever it is, especially people that are not currently patients. So we can link up. Like, you don't have to be patients of us. We can just be a phone call if you have questions. You know, if you want to refer somebody to us, or if there's a place that you think that we would be good to speak at, because this isn't just for you guys. Once you have information, you spread it. You share it with your family members. You share it with the people that you go to church with, the people that you care about and you want to see grow to be 103. Okay? So that's why we do what we do. We love you guys, and thank you for your time.
So just one thing right here before y'all start. My job is this. I take what I do very seriously. Come on up here. One of the things is, I'm like a shepherd, right? And so my job is to guard the sheep. And so what happens is, I'm very careful about who I let come in front of me and who actually enters my energy space, because it affects everybody. I wouldn't have brought these ladies up here if I didn't have 100% faith behind them, and like they're actually family of mine right now. And so to the point where you talking about certified people, these are two of the best in the business. And sometimes I get to the point where I work with them so much that they don't even believe some of the stuff I'm saying, because I see them better than what they are. I swear, she's the best massage therapist. This is the best nutrition. You want the best team, this is you looking at it right here. And none of this stuff could be possible without that lady right there with the red hair and this guy right here with the beard. So what I want to do is acknowledge them too, but we put all this together. A lot goes behind the scenes that you don't see, just to make sure that you have the experience that you have. And if you need anything, you can always count on me. We're family. We're part of the Health on Earth Chiropractic family right now. But I want to thank y'all for taking time, the hour that you took out of your schedule to be here tonight. And like I said, if you need anything, you just don't hesitate to ask or call. And we'll continue serving at a high level. But one of the things I challenge you to do when you walk out this door is I'm going to take this trash can of limiting beliefs, and I want you to dump all the limiting beliefs in this trash can. And then the second thing I want you to do is I want you to raise your standards. I want you to raise your standards in everything in your life, and who you talk to, what you eat, how you sleep, when you exercise. So we're not just selling for the okie-doke. We just recently set the standard of excellence. And so I challenge everybody in here to set their own standard of excellence. And with all that being said, I wish you good night.
Wonderful.